Provost Coatsworth, Executive Vice President Madigan, faculty colleagues, alumni, doctoral candidates, and their families and friends. Good evening, and welcome to Convocation for Doctoral Candidates in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. I thank all of you for coming to celebrate the accomplishments of our PhD candidates. We honor today a magnificent group that on commencement this coming Wednesday will join the ranks of our over 40,000 alumni and who will embark on professional and academic careers around the world in the great tradition of Columbia University. Equally important, we also honor today the families and friends of our candidates who have endured with them the grueling marathon of the doctoral degree. Thank you for being so supportive and, above all, for being so very patient. A special recognition is due today to the mothers in the audience, who I'm sure have wondered more than once whether this day would finally arrive. I would ask all doctoral candidates to rise and applaud those friends and family members who have helped them to be here today. The student remarks to the graduating class will be offered by Ms. Leah Yu. Ms. Yu received her BA from Cambridge University and is a PhD student in the Department of Political Science. Her dissertation work brings together neuroscience and political science, focusing especially on dehumanization and identity politics, with the larger purpose of asking what cognitive conditions are necessary for us to coexist in today's hyper-diverse societies. A German citizen who was originally born in Hunan, China, Leah applies her research work to projects on immigrant mental health and on dissipating prejudice between people from the West and the East. Her literary work has won awards in Germany, and she continues to search for a new language through both politics and literature to help intercultural people to achieve their humanity in full. Ms. Yu.
Dean Alonso, Provost Coatsworth, Executive Vice President Madigan, faculty and hardworking staff. Dear families and friends, but most important, dear PhD class of 2017. I feel extremely honored today to deliver the student speech and would like to start by thanking my two advisors in the Political Science Department, David Johnston and Jack Snyder, as well as Lazana Harris from UCL. My other committee members, Robert Jervis and Helen Vedelli from Teachers College, as well as my parents, husband, 3-year-old son, and friends who are sitting in the audience today. I am here today to talk about what Columbia means to me as a place, as an enigmatic place of arrival and possibility, a place that marks my intellectual biography, a tangible place in which a multitude of my identities found a space to speak to each other. On one of my first lush summer evenings on campus 7 years ago, when I was sitting with a newly made friend on the steps of Low Library, we were watching how the lights of Butler Library, just behind you, opposite of us then, were beginning to pierce brightly into the soft, darkening sky, one small window after the other. My friend and I talked about how, for our hypermobile generation, places and locations are often piled onto each other without clear order, whereas recounting specific years provides more structure and clarity. For this generation, the memories of places that we travel to and from, and that we leave behind and immerse ourselves in, can quickly become a jumbled and bewildering collection of facts. Instead, specific years begin to structure us, almost as if they light up in front of our eyes like the row of bright windows of Butler Library into the darkness of the sky. Yet today, I want to make the case that our memory of Colombia is especially precious for a hypermobile generation like ours, because it is deeply etched into us as a memory and experience of place, above all. I came to Colombia from having studied political philosophy in the UK. I grew up in Germany, I was born in China, and thus arrived at Colombia with many question marks about my intellectual and cultural belonging. I wrote an interdisciplinary dissertation that employs the social neuroscience on prejudice, stereotyping, and dehumanization of others to build a neuropolitical theory of how we can live together cooperatively in hyperdiverse and divided societies. Columbia's campus, its winded corridors in the pre-war buildings, the seminar rooms, the libraries, and above all, its people became a physically tangible and contained place where I could draw connections between my conflicting identities. Academically, it became a place where, in my quest to create a new neuropolitical language and interdisciplinary theory for today's identity politics, I could literally cross disciplinary boundaries by walking over to the offices and seminar rooms of different departments and libraries on Morningside campus, within a matter of hours, within a whole long day. As I was contemplating during my graduate years what impact the brain has on politics and how politics reflects in the brain, I crisscrossed campus and connected the disparate intellectual fields in my mind, neuroscience and political philosophy, by walking across campus space. But just like any physical place that is able to grip our imagination, Colombia is a place that at once attracts our most daring visions and yet most vulnerable longings. If, like me, you have ever wondered and despaired about who you are, how are you supposed to think and how you are supposed to talk about yourself in light of the often conflicting cultural, racial, linguistic, and gender identities that you carry within you, then you will know that words such as belonging, home, and liberation are not just abstract concepts, but powerful and enticing sounds that compel you to explore them with an almost irrational yearning and resolution. When I arrived at Colombia, I wanted to understand the force of social identity, such as race, culture, and class, in determining political outcomes in a post-Cold War world order. I was motivated by my upbringing by Chinese parents in post-war unified Germany. I was puzzled how identity politics could lead to such disastrous outcomes, such as the Holocaust and the Cultural Revolution, but at the same time, how it could also lead to empowering triumphs, such as the civil rights movement and desegregation in the US, as well as the feminist movement and post-colonial liberation. Why did identity politics in the 20th century lead to such disastrous and yet triumphant outcomes? And how are we to learn from this for the identity politics of the 21st century in our increasingly hyperdiverse and divided societies? But of course, as is so often the case, the deepest and most hidden, but also most desperate and powerful drive behind my questions came from my own self. They came from my own experience as an intercultural minority woman who did not know whether she belonged to the East or West. From my experience of being rejected as too Western by fellow Chinese and as too foreign by fellow Western professors, colleagues, and friends. from my experience of not knowing which history was truly writing me and which history I should help writing. From yearning for a place that I could call my intellectual home, where I belonged without being put into set identity categories, where I could ask questions and try to answer them in a crispness and unfussiness that allowed me to focus completely on the question itself. A place where the beginning of each day was not marked by that stinging sense of shame that still too many of us who move from identity margins into the center allowed to wash over ourselves. I was looking for a place where it did not matter so much who you once were, but what you said, thought, and responded to in this very moment, in a seminar room, a research lab, and a lecture hall, took on importance and, above all, reality. Columbia as a campus and New York as a city became that place where the words belonging, home, and liberation could be uttered completely anew. However, I'm not trying to idolize Columbia here today either. My memory of Columbia is also marked by contestation of its place, by who is represented and allowed entry here. I'm thinking back of my time as a student senator when I engaged in heated debates about Columbia's global identity with ROTC's return to campus. About Columbia's responsibility to invest ethically, low-income students who confessed about their struggles with food stamps and finances, Black Lives Matter demonstrations, as well as the historic erection of a plaque that honors the Lenape people in 2016. Therefore, when I think back, my time here at Columbia is marked both by the liberation that the space offers to intercultural people like me, but also by the constant awareness that this space needs to be continuously contested, reclaimed, and transformed by a diverse assembly of voices. The meaning of a place also comes from seeing it through somebody else's eyes. I would not be the person I am today, and I'm sure you would agree, without the undergraduate students that I have taught. To consider the identity challenges of our time through the perspective of this youngest generation on campus has been deeply humbling for me, giving me true joy and purpose. Likewise, our parents and family who are sharing the special moments with us today carry within them the knowledge of other continents, histories, and political eras, which is why seeing us on stage today, in this place, in this city, at this moment, is deeply touching and moving to us, but perhaps even more so to them. Dear class of 2017, I leave you with this image of Butler Library's lights lighting up like the years that are to unfold before us after our graduation, but also with a visceral sense of place connected to Columbia, of that period in your life where the fractured identity parts within you found enlightenment and meaning, and a true sense of belonging in a single haven of time and place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. The keynote address will be offered by Alondra Nelson, Professor of Sociology and Dean of Social Science at Columbia University. Dean Nelson has published broadly on the intersections of science, technology, and social inequality. Her acclaimed books include The Social Life of DNA, Race, Reparations, and Reconciliation After the Genome, and Body and Soul, the Black Panther Party, and the Fight Against Medical Discrimination. On September 1st, she will become president of the Social Science Research Council, and she's also the chair-elect of the Science, Knowledge, and Technology section of the American Sociological Association. Dean Nelson is a magna cum laude graduate of the University of California at San Diego and earned her MPhil and PhD in American Studies from New York University. Dean Nelson.
Dean Alonso, Provost Coatsworth, Executive Vice President Madigan, colleagues, and most importantly, to the doctoral candidates we gather to celebrate this evening, and your families and friends. It is my honor and pleasure to have been asked to address you on this important occasion. Graduation season has always been one of my favorite times of year. Like the start of each new academic semester, graduation brings with it the promise of the journey that lies ahead. But better than the start of a new term, graduation marks the accumulation of many new semesters, the successful completion of many academic terms. Graduation season marks a significant achievement accomplished over an extended period of time, and sometimes despite great odds. In the case of the doctoral degree, the highest academic degree that one can attain, that you candidates are to receive today, we are also acknowledging a lifetime of dedication in pursuit of this goal. For as long as I can remember, my celebration of graduation season has included an annual ritual of selecting just the right book to give as a gift to the graduate. Sometimes I gifted books that were linked to a friend or family member's postgraduate aspirations. On other occasions, the books I selected carried forward a discussion that had taken place in the classroom and that I hoped the graduate and I would continue well into the future. But for the last decade or so, I have selected only one book, just one book, as a graduation gift. Ethical Ambition by the legal scholar Derek Bell, published in 2002, 9 years before his passing at the age of 80. In years past, I mailed books to Professor Bell, and he'd write a personal note to each graduate. In recent years, I've written notes of my own to the graduates to whom I'd give his book. Ethical Ambition is now available in a second edition with a charming cover image of Professor Bell standing in the foreground in front of what appears to be a chalkboard. But I still much prefer the original cover of this book, so much so that I continue to scour used bookstores for it, so I can give this preferred one as the gift. I prefer this first one because it is an unadorned cover. The words Ethical Ambition in grayscale lettering are set against a silver backdrop that lends the work a tone that is both declarative and imperative. I prefer this cover because it plainly states ethical ambition as a quiet mandate, a tender prodding rather than a mere suggestion on the part of the author. I've given this book as a gift again and again because it distills into prose some of the guidance that I had the benefit of receiving from Professor Bell as a graduate student and a junior professor. He was one of my most impactful mentors. By the time of my first encounter with him in the late 1990s, I had already read several of his books, but I knew of Professor Bell long before this. He was the faculty member who took an unpaid leave of absence from Harvard Law School, where he was the first African-American tenured professor, and refused to return until the institution had hired a Black woman faculty member, in effect giving up his tenure at the institution. This is not a fate I wanted for myself or I hope for you. But in addition to being in awe of his professional courage, I admired his contrarian scholarship and his life of conviction. His writing was erudite yet accessible and even literary, and it asked us always to take an unflinching, honest look at our still too uneven society. I met Professor Bell at a reception, one of these receptions that you graduate students will recall, following an academic event. It was one of those informal but never ever casual gatherings at which we aspirant PhDs find ourselves with the opportunity to deliver our dissertation elevator pitches to long-credentialed eminent faculty members. I know these encounters are one part of your graduate education that you won't miss. Filled to brimming with emotional intelligence, Professor Bell appreciated how unnerving this experience was and listened patiently and even appreciatively as the graduate students arrayed around him rattled off our spiels to him. He had praise for each of us and reminded us that we as scholars with our varied projects all had the potential to change the world. Before this moment, no one had encouraged me to even entertain the fact that this might be possible or true. He held ambitions for we students that we could not yet hold for ourselves. I've also gifted Professor Bell's book, Ethical Ambition, again and again, because it boldly places front and center a question we are not often encouraged to think often enough about. How can I maintain my integrity while seeking success? Bell responded to this question in this book with a series of poignant essays about passion, courage, faith, relationships, ethics, and humility in the arc of one's ethical professional life. In Ethical Ambition, the all-too-human Bell is deeply honest with his readers, admitting that he was not adverse to pursuing success, and indeed that he was a very ambitious man. He also encourages us that in our lifetimes we can, in his words, do well and do good. He encourages us that our abilities and talents can be used towards professional success and to transform the world for the better. I don't consider ethical ambition an oxymoron, Bell writes. Ethical conduct connotes activity that is fair, uplifting, and in keeping with, and one hopes, advancing moral norms. And ambition is not merely a desire for wealth, position, power, or celebrity, but rather, in his words, an earnest desire for some accomplishment or distinction and the willingness to strive for it. You doctoral candidates seated here today already embody the second, more profound sense of ambition. You have, over several years, strived toward the goal that we honor you for today. To put your accomplishments in some perspective, I will remind you that recent US Census data on educational attainment tells us that fewer than 2% of people in the US have earned a doctoral degree. So this experience that seems commonplace and ubiquitous to many of you and to many of us, by the time we complete graduate school, having spent many years surrounded by others who hold doctorates or are on the road to achieving this highest degree, is actually a rare and unique feat. There's no two ways about it. You are exceptional. Doing well and doing good, as Bell advised, is surely a hard balance to strike. But if anyone is capable of this, it is you, the distinguished members of the doctoral class of 2017. For your presence here today means that you have mastered not only your disciplines and fields of study, but also the task that is demanded uniquely of doctoral candidates, looking at the world anew and drawing new possibilities, new discoveries, new interpretations, and bringing forward the original and innovative contributions for which you are being honored. If a balance between ethics and ambition is to be struck, it will take novel perspective on success and the common good, and few are better prepared to chart this new way than those of you here today. In your years at Columbia, you've had the amazing opportunity and privilege to be able to focus on one aspect of knowledge over an extended period of time. Through years of dedicated and painstaking work, you have learned what it takes to really know something. Going through this experience has shown you the value of deep study and has assured you of your ability to tackle complexity and intricacy, even when it's hard. What your doctoral training has shown you to do is think deeply and with nuance about the complexities of life, be they metaphors or gene methylation or machine learning. Whatever else happens in your life, you are transformed forever by having taken this journey and having successfully done so at a place like Columbia. What you've accomplished has taken great skill and great discipline. There's no two ways about it. You are extraordinary. There will be many exciting ways for you to take your experiences out into the world and to take your expertise out into the world. The collective you will propel forward into careers that variously advance human understanding. Doing any of this is a mighty plenty. Doing any of this is doing well. But what about striking this balance between doing well and doing good, and why does this matter? It matters because we face many challenges, from healthcare access to climate change, to enhancing social justice, to ensuring democracy. And these times when it may seem easier to take solace in oversimplified answers to any of these, the skills and nuanced thinking that you have honed over many years are key and are deeply in need. Wherever you will land, know that the world needs people like you who can think deeply about the world around them. Before me this evening are a group of the world's greatest minds, and this is beautiful to behold. Having learned to inhabit the life of the mind, I want to urge you to remember not to live only guided by the mind, but also by the heart. Ethical ambition seeks to use the rare knowledge acquired over many years of intellectual innovation in some way toward human betterment. Ethical ambition is doing work that dedicates you to a better world, and indeed that dedicates you to use the very same skills of innovation that you've developed that have brought at Columbia and have brought you here today to imagine a better world. During your doctoral studies, you will have failed, felt unsettled, and even uncomfortable when you took risks. Ethical ambition asks that you continue to live lives of this kind of courage, guiding us to not just see new algorithms and formulae, not only new theories and theorems, not only new compositions or curricula, but to put this radical thinking that you are expert at in the service of us all. Ethical ambition is surely a more rocky path than ambition alone, but it is the path that can bring together the roads of intellectual satisfaction and personal fulfillment, and it is that path that brings the intellectual creativity and originality for which you are being honored to bear on some of our most seemingly intractable issues. Ethical ambition is an ambition for others as well as oneself, an appreciation that we each have unique skills that can uniquely offer something to the world. And whatever your sphere of influence or expertise, do something for the good of others. Imagine, if you will, a future of work, your future, catalyzed by the convictions of the heart as well as the passions of the mind. Take this passionate intelligence, the fullness of what you have learned as students at Columbia, out into the world and make our world anew. Congratulations to the class of 2017 on this wonderful day when we are gathered together to celebrate your academic success. It is my hope you will soar to the heights of your imagining and do so while also drawing on your deep well of knowledge to be of service to others and to the world.
Thank you, Dean Nelson. I now have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Sarah Joseph, a PhD student in genetics and development and the president of the Graduate Student Advisory Council, who will present the Faculty Mentoring Awards. Ms. Joseph.
Today, I had the distinct privilege of representing all GSAS students in recognizing two outstanding professors. The Graduate Student Advisory Council confers the Faculty Mentoring Award to honor excellence in the mentoring of PhD students. These faculty members have demonstrated an exceptional commitment to supporting their students and guiding them along a path of educational and professional development. Selections for the Faculty Mentoring Award were made by graduate student representatives from GSAS and other Columbia schools from a set of nomination letters spanning all disciplines. Today, we honor Oded Netzer, Associate Professor of Business, and Van C. Tran, Assistant Professor of Sociology. Professor Van Tran, the selection committee was very impressed by the nomination letters received on your behalf. A few relevant passages from your nomination letters are excerpted below. Professor Van Tran is an amazing model of a sociologist, mentor, and teacher that I want to become. He expertly led class discussions and elicited thoughts and opinions from everyone in the room in a way that allowed people to feel that their contributions were respected and important to the discussion. Professor Van Tran's guidance played a key role in the development of my successful proposal. His holistic mentoring goes beyond being an excellent academic advisor. On behalf of all of the graduate students at Columbia University, we thank you for your outstanding mentorship. Effective mentoring not only is the key to a successful graduate program, but also establishes a legacy of quality mentoring practices for your students. We are honored to recognize your achievements in the signature element of graduate education. The selection committee was very impressed by the nomination letters received on Professor Netzer's behalf. A few relevant passages from your nomination letters are excerpted below. As a mentor, Oded challenges his students to refine and perfect their ideas, providing invaluable insights and training along the way. He is always available to guide, help, and provide feedback. His mentoring style is supportive and instructive, yet encouraging one to push forward and reach the best results while not neglecting the learning process. Oded is truly the ideal mentor and friend, and Columbia is enormously lucky to count him as a member of its community. On behalf of all the graduate students at Columbia University, we thank you for your outstanding mentorship. Effective mentoring not only is the key to a successful graduate program, but also establishes a legacy of quality mentoring practices for your students. We are honored to recognize your achievements in the signature element of graduate education. Professor Netzer is unable to attend today's ceremony. Shiri Melumad, a PhD candidate in business, is here to accept the award on Professor Netzer's behalf.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph, and congratulations to Professors Netzer and Tran. We will now recognize 3 PhD students with the Presidential Award for Outstanding Teaching. These students were selected from a large pool of nominations by a committee that included both faculty and graduate students. Provost Coatsworth, would you please come forward? The 3 students who have been selected to receive this year's Presidential Award for Outstanding Teaching are Sahar Ishtiaq Ullah, Jason Chun-Yu Wong, and Xingwei Wu. Ms. Ullah, like all top graduate student teachers, you regularly win the praises of your students. Not only do many refer to you as the best teaching assistant they have ever had, but they describe you as one of the most impressive instructors of any rank they have encountered at Columbia. In the classroom, you model the modes of questioning and interacting that you wish to instill in your students. You demonstrate the balance between allowing students to develop their own ideas and challenging them when appropriate. As much of your teaching involves the basic introduction of students to the study of Arabic and Islamic cultures, you have also mastered the skills required to help students transform their assumptions into culturally competent, evidence-based lenses through which they analyze these subjects. Beyond the classroom, you act as a mentor to your peers and model the commitment required of the profession of teaching. The standards you set for yourself bring out the best in your colleagues, students, and classmates. It is with great respect, gratitude, and pride that we recognize your contributions and accomplishments in the classroom and beyond with the 2017 Presidential Award for Outstanding Teaching by a graduate student. Mr. Wong. Through your teaching, you demonstrate deep passion for your subjects, that highlights your unique ability to deliver complex and abstract materials into simple, easily consumable information. Your enthusiasm, expertise, and love for learning is translated through your teaching, allowing students to make real connections between the subject matter, world events, and their everyday life. As a teacher, you're a patient, understanding, and compassionate person, and your door seems to be open to students always, not just for assisting with coursework, but also for mentorship and counsel. Your teaching is creative and innovative, and your use of multiple pedagogical methods goes far beyond the basic lecture. We're proud to have you as both a student and teacher at the School of International and Public Affairs, and it is with great respect and gratitude that we recognize your contributions and accomplishments in the classroom and beyond with the 2017 Presidential Award for Outstanding Teaching by a Graduate Student. And finally, Mr. Wu. As a teacher, your expertise and ability to explain complicated concepts in simple terms has revealed to many students the beauty of mathematics associated with economics and has sparked their curiosity in new pursuits of knowledge. Your kindness and patience contribute to a warm and inviting classroom, and your generosity has made a long-lasting impression on both your students and your colleagues. You were the first point of contact for students in the inaugural Masters of Arts in Economics, and you expertly guided them as an instructor, teaching assistant, friend, and mentor. Your efforts were instrumental to the success of the program in its first year. Both undergraduate and doctoral students alike have learned so much from you, even when no longer formally assigned to your classes. It is with great respect, gratitude, and pride that we recognize your contributions and your accomplishments in the classroom and beyond with the 2017 Presidential Award for Outstanding Teaching by a Graduate Student. We now arrive at the central point of the ceremony, the presentation of the doctoral candidates. We ask you to come forth as we call your name in recognition of your individual accomplishments. Darius Burge, Assistant Dean of Students for the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, will read the names of the PhD candidates as they approach the lectern.
They refer to as assistant dean. Good luck.
Receiving the doctoral degree in anthropology, Sumaya Kasamali. Arti Sethi. Sooyoung Kim. Natasha Sabimana. Christopher Santiago. Jude Nwachukwu. Receiving the doctoral degree in applied physics, Andrew Weissman. Haixing Li. Chaitunya Rustogi. Kenneth Hammond. Alexander Watson. John Ozen. Mordecai Kornbluth. Dove Rhodes. Diego Scarabelli. Jens Bartel. Receiving a doctoral degree in art history and archaeology, Kevin Dumichel. Nicole Griggs. Tursan Pilogi. Eliza Butler. Rachel Silveri. Receiving the doctoral degree in astronomy, Stephanie Douglas. Jia Liu. Susan Clark. Receiving the doctoral degree in biochemistry and molecular biophysics, Brett Alcott. Bridget Huang. Jane Martin Carley. Receiving the doctoral degree in biological sciences, Nicole Benvin. Jamie Little. Soyun Park. Chiao Feng. Amy Job. Jay Zhou. Ming Sun. Nathan Yurko.
Biomedical engineering.
Receiving the doctoral degree in biomedical engineering, Genevieve Brown. Ethan Bunting. Edward Fogel III. Brendan Roach. Robert John Nims. Jonathan Ung. Wei Yang Jin. Nalin Techibiwun. Surapan Jarentsuk. Wu Shi Ying. Yan Hang. Ying Ma. Receiving the doctoral degree in biomedical informatics, Albert Lee. Jin He. Silas Chung. William Ogallo. Receiving the doctoral degree in biostatistics, Zhurong Huang. Receiving the doctoral degree in business, Ethan Ruan. Sinlei Lee. Elizabeth Wiley. Ilona Friedman. Jia Liu. Daniel He. Shuri Malumad. Dongwook Shin. Wenqi Hu. Kai Yuan. Jie Li. Andrea Kiguel. Pablo Slutsky. Receiving the doctoral degree in cell biology, Chenshu Liu. Receiving the doctoral degree in cellular physiology and biophysics, Liu Junyu. Tal Lorberbaum. Nicole Steinbach. Deepti Mathur. Receiving a doctoral degree in cellular, molecular, and biomedical studies, Boris Greenspun. Yajing Xie. Rayjun Drew. Junqui Chen, Joseph Villarin, Alexandra Yatsunsky, George Muntufaris, Chandler Walker, Wendy Fong, receiving the doctoral degree in chemical engineering, Harun Özbakir, AJ Artuk, Beza Bulutolu, Mayank Misra, T. Vo, Thu V, receiving the doctoral degree in chemical engineering, Maxim Stoner, Kevin Nur, Porakrit Leoperat, Chato Runger de Silva, Yu Luo, Zhizhen Zhang, receiving the doctoral degree in chemical physics, Giselle Elbaz, receiving the doctoral degree in chemistry, Travis Valadez, Jiayun Yu, Yiwei Shen, Funhao Hu, Nathaniel Kim, Stuart Mallory, Michael Gashler, Carrie Yaswek, Miguel Jimenez, receiving the doctoral degree in civil engineering and engineering mechanics, Maura Torres, Audrey Olivier, David Tall, Matthew Sloan, Nandan Shetty, Mustafa Mobashir, Jinwoo Zhang, Yongshun Wang, receiving the doctoral degree in classical studies, Molly Allen, receiving the doctoral degree in computer science, Hebe El-Fardi, Daniel Bauer, Robert Coyne, Sebastian Zimek, Paolo Mantovani, Youngjin Yoon, Xue Feng, Avner May, Jill Germain, receiving the doctoral degree in Earth and Environmental Sciences, Haewon Kim, Julius Busecki, Logan Brenner, Sophia Brumer, Azmi Napitu, Angelica Patterson, Abigail West, receiving the doctoral degree in East Asian Languages and Cultures, Glenda Chow, Jaewon Chung, Peng Liu, receiving the doctoral degree in Ecology, Evolution, and Environmental Biology, Camila Sanin, Brian Weeks, Case Prager, Naomi Schwartz, receiving the doctoral degree in Economics, Mei-Ping Sun, Stefan Dupraz, Ajin Lee, Yogita Shamdasani, Ildiko Madhyari, Goran Lazarevsky, Ambush Divan, Lina Liu, Zeli Her, Karim Tushuolu, Maria Mikhaila Sviaci, Christopher Hansman, Nicolas Deroux, Zachary Brown, Evan Reel, Tek Young Tan, receiving the doctoral degree in electrical engineering, Salah Sultan, Varun Gupta, David Calhoun, Christine Chun, Ke Won, Scott Trokia, receiving a doctoral degree in electrical engineering, Hyung-Sik Kim, Janavi Sharma, Sherwil Pradeep Patil, Yu Chen, Jianshun Zhu, Ritesh Bhatt, Lin Xiao Zhang, Christopher Choi, Yu Gan, Ju Sun, receiving the doctoral degree in English and Comparative Literature, Kathleen Gemmel, Arden Higley, receiving the doctoral degree in Environmental Health Sciences, Medina Jackson Brown, receiving the doctoral degree in Epidemiology, Melissa DuPont Reyes, Linda Gross Kahn, Stephanie Xiao, Sheila Nimet, Jiaxing Shi, receiving the doctoral degree in French and Romance Philology, Elizabeth Jacqueline Marcus, Diana King, Johan Reipert, receiving the doctoral degree in Genetics and Development, Olya Yaroshivska, Cassandra Panea, Lori Krimian, receiving the doctoral degree in Germanic Languages, Sophie Salvo, Tabea Weitz, Hannes Bjor, Jessica Kurzane, receiving the doctoral degree in History, Sarah Runcie, Maria John, Aurelie Roy, Jude Weber, Romeo Guzman, Anna Isabel Kielsen, Justin Reynolds, Benjamin Lyons, Deborah Shulevitz, Jeffrey Wayno, Deborah Gale, Joseph Skloot, Nicholas Churovich, Kinyi Ian Shin, Carolyn Arena, Samuel Fury Childs Daly, Nishant Bacha, Charles Halverson, receiving the doctoral degree in Industrial Engineering and Operations Research, Itai Fagenbaum, Gonzalo Munoz, Antoine Desir, Mariana Fraga. Jennifer Rhodes.
You have to read this one out.
Peter Van Hove.
Carlos.
Receiving the doctoral degree in Latin American and Iberian cultures, Elise Arnold Levine. Rachel Stein.
Time for babies.
Ana Mendez Oliver. Receiving the doctoral degree in mathematics, Youngsu Choi. Ashwin Deopurkar. Jordan Keller. Paul Lewis. Vladislav Petkov. Chunmin Mike Wong. Receiving the doctoral degree in mechanical engineering, Paul Stiegel. Grant Brandel. Shu Kui. Mu Feng Hu. Frank Yao. Xiaoyang Shi. Received the doctoral degree in Earth and Environmental Engineering, Ted Lee. Receiving a doctoral degree in Microbiology and Immunology, Yenhua Chen. Melanie Mumau.
Misos.
Receiving the doctoral degree in Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies, Suhar Ullah. Ahmed Derdir. Yannick Marshall. Receiving the doctoral degree in music, Nicholas Chong. Orit Hilowitz. Matthew Ricketts. Benjamin Hansberry. Maeve Sturbins. Receiving the doctoral degree in neurobiology and behavior, Leora Fox.
Soon to come.
Yoshef Mesoros. Austin Sitko. Gamal Eldin Al Sayed. Christophe Dupre. Receiving the doctoral degree in nutritional and metabolic biology, Elizabeth Millings. Receiving a doctoral degree in pathobiology and molecular medicine, Michael Badgley. Jennifer Crow. Receiving the doctoral degree in pharmacology and molecular signaling, Seth Roby. Lujing Song. Yongchen Cho. Receiving the doctoral degree in philosophy, Matthew Moss. Christine Suzienka. Receiving the doctoral degree in physics, Mickey McDonald. David Calico. Derek Arujo. Andrea Petri. Sky Chung. Yun Tian. Russell Smith. David Murphy. Receiving a doctoral degree in political science, Hiroaki Abe. Hadas Aron. Bjorn Gomez. Emily Holland. Nora Keller. Tamar Mitz. Lauren Young. Receiving the doctoral degree in psychology, Rebecca Martin. Seth Kalman. Sudie Maid. Raymond Crooks. Matthew Bailey. Receiving the doctoral degree in religion, Laura McTighe. Receiving a doctoral degree in Slavic languages, Michael M. Osorgan VIII.
Same department.
Jill Reese. Receiving the doctoral degree in social work, Angela Effa. Suzanne Bang. Receiving the doctoral degree in sociology, Junping Lee. Receiving the doctoral degree in socio-medical sciences, Jose Diaz Jr. Althea Anderson. Matthew Kelly.
Final stretch.
Receiving the doctoral degree in statistics, Youngbum Cho. Richard Neuberg. Yuting Ma. Yuan Jun Gao. Receiving a doctoral degree in sustainable development, Kimberly Orimus. Stephanie Lackner. Stefan Merta. Eyal Frank.
TCs next are out of order. You can see programs in education.
Receiving a doctoral degree in anthropology and education in Teachers College, Megan Chidsey. Receiving the doctoral degree in economics and education from Teachers College, Elizabeth Kopko. Receiving the doctoral degree in applied anthropology from Teachers College, Brian O'Hare. Receiving the doctoral degree in applied behavioral analysis from Teachers College, Vanessa Laurent Profet. Michelle Mackey. Kelly Mercola. Receiving the doctoral degree in applied behavioral analysis from Teachers College, Frank Frias. Jasira Farrell. Receiving the doctoral degree in cognitive studies and education from Teachers College, Yuan Wang. Receiving a doctoral degree in behavioral nutrition from Teachers College, Chinara Tate. Receiving the doctoral degree in cognitive science from Teachers College, Sorachai Kornkasem. Receiving the doctoral degree in comparative and international education from Teachers College, Victor Yanke. Receiving the doctoral degree in mathematics education from Teachers College, Laura Golnabi. Receiving the doctoral degree in theater, Noemi Andiai. Receiving the doctoral degree in political science, Leah Yu.
And now, my parting remarks to the graduating class. During your stay in this institution, we have endeavored to train you how to think, write, and speak like a member of an academic field, as a participant in an intellectual community defined by the mores and convention of your discipline, leaving in the process little time or room for much else. Indeed, looking back at the foundational myth of the modern university, one can detect readily a desire to place the institution in a location of exception with respect to the social, as an enterprise that derives its force and reason for being from its insularity, from its distance from societal concerns. This is part and parcel of the apprenticeship model of graduate education and explains to a large degree the sense of loneliness that we all have felt at one time or another while in graduate school, as if we all had to recreate for ourselves and within ourselves the principal tenets of our chosen discipline, and thus engage in a project of intellectual self-fashioning that necessarily had to keep the world at bay. Given the effort, the long effort, that you have expended in achieving this goal, you would be justified in thinking that the triumph that you celebrate today surely should be enough. And yet, the Spanish philosopher José Ortega y Gasset wrote in the early 20th century an aphorism that comes to mind to describe what I'm hoping to convey to you as you leave this institution. Yo soy yo y mi circunstancia, y si no la salvo a ella, no me salvo yo, which can be loosely translated as, I am myself and my circumstance, and if I do not redeem it, I cannot redeem myself. Since November of last year, most academic institutions in the nation have been buffeted by the unexpected outcome of a general election whose principal ideological contours appear to issue from a version of this country that is felt by some of us to be unsettling and unfamiliar. I do not want to challenge or bemoan the results of that election here, but to invoke it as an object lesson for all of us. Using the very analytical tools that you have learned at Columbia and which we live by, we should endeavor to understand the phenomenon down to its root causes. But perhaps more important, it is for us to be chastened by the very surprise with which we received this event. For in hindsight now, all of the pieces were readily available to us that would have allowed us to almost predict, as opposed to being surprised by, the results of the last election. The indifference at the radical concentration of wealth and resulting income inequalities, the disregard for a lowered standard of living for many of our middle-class citizens, the shrugging of shoulders at the seemingly wanton police killings of black citizens, the lack of concern with the pollution of the public sphere with misinformation, the conundrum that, on the one hand, our current economic system has ushered in the wondrous, wondrous world in which we live, but that it also has a continual propensity to naturalize inequalities and to produce narratives of success about individual effort that justify those inequalities. All of these circumstances point to the loss of our sense of the commons, of the belief that we have some responsibility to our brethren, and that our fundamental assumption should be that what is best is what is good for the largest number of people. Had we allowed ourselves to see these phenomena, we would not have been staggered by the events of November. The university may have been created to keep the world at bay outside its walls, but we should not allow that mythological foundation to determine our relationship with our surroundings. The very distilled concentration, the monomaniacal attention to your intellectual projects that has allowed you to be where you are today is a decided strength, but it can also lead imperceptibly to a withdrawal from the world that is not that different in its effects from outright neglect. Struggling against the insular experience in which you had to immerse yourself to be successful in graduate school will perhaps be the most taxing, the most demanding task you will undertake in the next chapter of your life. Everything that you have learned at Columbia will only acquire its full significance when you're able to articulate its meaning for the commons. Hence, in spite of the requisite headlong plunge into our disciplinary milieu, we must never lose sight of the larger social context that will endow our work with its ultimate significance. We are, as a society, at peril of losing that sense of responsibility toward the common good, without which our work will be diminished, but more important, without which no understanding or application of justice may sustain itself. Your studies have endowed you with powerful analytical tools and equally effective powers of persuasion, and you should use them to protect the health of the social compact, to strengthen the resilience of our common bonds. Strive to be happy as an individual, but always keep in mind Ortega's admonition that if you do not also endeavor to redeem your circumstance, your own fulfillment will be in jeopardy. Never lose sight of the fact that many persons, even absolute strangers, have contributed to this personal success of yours that we celebrate today, and that the best way to acknowledge that debt is through your renewed commitment to the essential business of being human among and alongside other human beings. We arrive then at the end of this magnificent ceremony. Go forth to be our representatives and emissaries to the world, and all of us at Columbia will rejoice in your inevitable achievements. Make us and your relatives and friends prouder still about you than we are today. Will the candidates please stand so we may give them a final round of applause? You're all invited to a champagne reception immediately following the ceremony at Avery Plaza under the tent. I ask friends and families to wait until after the faculty and the candidates have ascended the low library steps before exiting.